Welcome to the Acupuncture Outsider podcast. My name is Richard Hazel, and in the time it takes for you to commute to or from work, I hope to have shared something of interest about orthopedic acupuncture using motor points, trigger points, myofascial slings, neurofunctional acupuncture, segmental treatments, anything that crosses my mind that seems to be of interest. I hope you'll enjoy it. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Acupuncture Outsider. This is Richard Hazel. And if you've been following this podcast, you know that, it's a year old. I'm very excited about that. And I get a lot of great feedback from people. So I plan to continue doing this until nobody wants to listen anymore. But I was going to say, if you've been listening, you probably remember when I mentioned that I bought a new electric stim device from Pantheon Research, for doing pens for chronic pain, headaches, things like that. And you can listen to that episode if you want to hear more about the actual pens treatment. But I want to give my thoughts about the device. And I will say up front that I have no sponsors on this podcast. So I have no reason to gild the lily, so to speak. I have no reason to exaggerate my like or dislike of anything regarding electric stim devices that I'm going to talk about. So I wanted to say that I'm very happy with my pens. My I think it's called Acupuncture PENS 12. That's the model that I have, the PENS 12, because it's 6 leads that can each attach to 2 needles. So 12 points can be treated at the same time with the same device. And it does mixed mode, which is nice. For doing pens, you really want to do a mixed mode where you have 2 different frequencies and you put it on mixed mode. You have discontinuous and you have continuous. So let me just talk about that real quick. So I have other stim devices. I have the Ito ES130s. I have a couple of those, and I have the PENS device that I just got, and then I have this other electric stim device that I bought. I might have bought it on Amazon for like $300. I bought it mostly because it had 8 leads, and I thought, wow, that's awesome, 16 points. And I barely even, I haven't used it since I got my Pantheon device, to tell you the truth. Now that I have Pantheon, that other one is just, it's just a painful memory for me. There are so many things that I don't like about the cheap device that I got. The PENS device, by the way, is almost $800 US. So not cheap, but definitely a great investment. I can tell it's a solid quality device. And up till now, I've had no problems with leads getting shorts in them. I always have that problem with the Itos. Those cables are so skinny, and I'm frequently replacing them, and they're not cheap. I think it's like $17 per new lead. The Itos, I dropped them so many times that the battery door doesn't stay on. It wants to slide off all the time. And so, I do like my Itos for the consistency of the signal. I've never had a problem with the Ito blasting electricity really when you first click it on, like I do with that cheaper machine that I have. And if you want just a really consistent 1 hertz frequency or 2 hertz, if that's your preference, Um, the Itos are great, but they have 3 leads each, and that's six. That's 6 points. So you're really gonna have to have 2 if you really want to, cover as much as I would, want to cover for a basic treatment. Um, they take a 9 volt battery. The Pantheon takes 2 9 volt batteries. And I really loved that Pantheon switched to using 9 volt batteries, because when I was in acupuncture school at Pacific, my memory of it was that we had to have. I think I remember that it was like C batteries, not 9 volt batteries. So maybe I remember that wrong, but so many other um, larger stim devices do use the big cell batteries, the C or D batteries. I'm way more into having 9 volt batteries on hand and just having that be what I need. And they're just small, they're easy to replace. I feel like they give that having 2 9 volt batteries in the Pantheon gives it some real power. And as advertised, the frequency is very consistent. The signaling is awesome. I have never, and I think it's by design, never seen where clicking the wheel on will blast the electricity into the needles and cause a big jump in the muscle, even at a low level. But on the cheaper devices, that absolutely happens. So that's, word of caution. You get what you pay for. But so let's talk about. Well, I'm going to talk about the Pantheon. So it has the 6 leads. The leads are thick, and I feel like they're good quality. I have not had any issues with cables breaking inside and having a short, so that I have to wiggle the cable around to get it to work and eventually replace it. It shipped with extra cables, so if I do have a problem, I already have spares on hand. That's awesome. Um, and I really always like to use my Pantheon over any other electric stim device. That's always my go-to. And the Itos I use when I've run out of leads and I still need to cover some points. So it's my new favorite, and very solid, very consistent. I don't think I've had to replace batteries yet, and I've had it for a while now, probably at least a couple months. And yeah, I just think it's a great device, and my next purchase for eStim will be another of the acupuncture pens 12, because it's great. So so if you go to the pantheonresearch.com website, you'll see the others that they have. They have like a 4 Pro and an 8 Pro. The 4 Pro obviously covers 4 needles, so it's 2 leads, and then the 8 Pro covers 8 needles, so it's 4 leads. And they do millicurrent and microcurrent. So for those of you who are doing things with like scalp, you can, that's an option. They also do, what do I want to say? Continuous and discontinuous. I don't believe you're going to get a mixed mode out of the pros, because they're smaller devices. They don't have enough room, I think, for the extra wheels that you need to be able to do mixed mode. And maybe there's even, obviously there is more technology involved. So there's a, different circuit board. So if you, and by the way, the mixed mode is really just for doing pens treatments. So if that's not your thing, and you're not doing Craig pens treatments, you really maybe don't need to have the 12 lead. You could do an 8 lead. I highly recommend, if you haven't bought anything and you're looking at it, make sure you get something that not only does continuous, but discontinuous mode. Okay. Discontinuous is so so helpful. I didn't have discontinuous on my ETOs. I don't have they're a simple device. They're meant to be quality portable device, and they are, but they only do continuous at like 1 hertz or whatever you set them at. Okay, so you and the ETOs. The other reason I think a lot of people like them is because the frequency options are much broader than what you will find on something that size. You're just not going to find devices that go in the 200 range frequencies. I think the cheaper ones that you might get, the eStim 3 or something, I forget what it's called. I think they go up to like 100 hertz, but that's it. And you'll see those also blast a jolt of electricity when you first click them on. So they're definitely not the same quality as the Ito ES 130. So, um, but I digress. So you really, well, if you're treating from a neurofunctional approach, if you want to say work on drop foot, something I work on a lot, you want a discontinuous mode where the stim turns on and you put it at a higher frequency at 10 or 15 hertz, and the stim turns on and contracts the muscle for 3 seconds. I think it's 3, and then relaxes for 3 seconds, and then contracts for 3 seconds, and then relaxes. So that is, in my opinion, better than a continuous mode of like 1 or 2 hertz. And your patient, no way can you do a continuous 10 hertz mode on somebody. No, that's, I mean, basically creating a Charlie horse or cramp in the muscle. So if you're going to work on people who have something like a drop foot, some sort of neuropathy of the the motor nerve not firing, or the motor nerve not signaling well to the muscle, and maybe the muscle is the inhibited problem, you want to have a discontinuous mode for your stim. And the pens is awesome. And I'm having great results with my drop foot people. I'll use I'll stimulate behind the head of the fibula to find that peroneal nerve trunk and get that firing, and then I hook up the peroneals, the tib anterior, extensor digitorum longus. Sometimes I'll do extensor digitorum brevis. Sometimes I'll add extensor hallucis longus. Not always. Depends on the patient, but those are amazing. And so I'll do like 10 hertz. I'll do 10 minutes at 1 hertz first. I'll stimulate the nerve trunk, and then I'll do the 1 hertz pulsing. And then I'm sitting next to the patient and we're talking. I'll turn off the machine. I'll change the settings to 10 or 15 hertz. I kind of like 15 better than 10. So lately I've been doing more 15 hertz, and then I'll put it on discontinuous, and then I'll turn on the stim for all those muscles I just mentioned, and I'll turn it up to get contractions of the muscle for like 3 seconds, and it works so well. I'm seeing good results for people that I was afraid weren't going to respond. And every case is different. Sometimes people come in. I have a new patient. I've only seen her once. She's had drop foot for 40 years, but she says in the past year, it's gotten worse. So she had some ability to lift her foot, and it's gotten worse. So I said, I don't know if we're going to roll you back to where you were 40 years ago, but if we can at least get you back to where you were before you felt like this started declining, is that worth the time and effort? She said, yeah, that would be good. So we'll see what happens. I don't think I saw much on the first treatment, but I tell people with drop foot, we need probably 3 to 5, if not 5 to 7 treatments before we should decide that it's not working. It can take some time. Uh, a lot of times they do feel some improvement though in 2 or 3 sessions. So I just try to, you know, um, go address the patient that's in front of me as far as like what I think, because everybody's different. Um, I have one patient. She is about 30 years old. She was walking her dog by a little riverbed and she fell and she completely broke her fibula and tibia, broke it. I mean, I'm horrified by the thought. But they basically had to do major surgery. And in the process, her big toe stopped being able to lift. She can flex her big toe, but she can't lift it. And it just hangs. It's the weirdest looking thing. I mean, when her foot is relaxed, her big toe is pointing down to the floor. So, you know, I said, you know, we should try. I mean, this is the really probably the only thing that could be done if that would work, and we won't probably know for 3 to 5 sessions, if not maybe 5 to 7. She said, "Well, it's the only thing I have, so I gotta try. I gotta at least try." And so the first session, I was doing peroneal nerve trunk. I was doing muscles, especially the extensor hallucis longus, of course, the motor point. You can see that motor point location on my Podia motor point course if you're interested. That's all right, richardhazel.podia.com if you want to check it out. But I didn't see any movement at all of the big toe on that visit. Second visit, I said, okay, let's also make sure that there's nothing going on with the flexors that could be inhibiting your already weak ability to extend your big toe. So I treated her calf muscles. I treated her flexor digitorum longus, her flexor hallucis longus, and with some stim, and that one I did just 1 hertz for 10 minutes with her prone. Then supine, I put 2 needles into the extensor hallucis longus, and because I can't use a pointer to see her toe move because it's completely immobile, I have to just hope that my location is right. And so I put 2 needles just to maybe improve my odds. And then I ran the 1 hertz for 10 minutes, and then I started doing the 15 hertz, and I got to tell you, the wheel on the intensity wheel on the Pantheon goes up to 6, and I had to crank it up above 5, but her big toe started to lift. Very exciting. Second visit, very exciting. So once I got it lifting, then I went back down to 1 hertz to make it more comfortable for her. But I had to leave it around 5 on the intensity wheel. But her big toe was just like lifting just a tiny bit, not a ton, but it was lifting. And I'm excited. I'm hopeful. Maybe we can get that muscle to start responding to some stimulus. We will see. Super cool. But I couldn't do that without the Pantheon. I couldn't do that. I'll say I couldn't do that without a device that has a discontinuous mode that can do the stronger stimulation that's going to actually wake those muscles up. So I'm really enjoying my Pantheon. And like I said, I feel like it's just a nice quality device. When you feel it, it has the feel of quality. It it feels slightly heavy, and the knobs are nice and solid, never wiggly. I don't know if you have anything that's a little cheap. The knobs can feel like they kind of move around, or they're not that solid. The Pantheon knobs are like built to last. They're solid. When you turn them, the even the click on the wheel feels solid. You know it's well made. It's not chintzy and clicky. It's got a nice like thud when you turn the wheel. So I'm a big fan. I did use Pantheons in acupuncture school, so I was familiar with the 4 Pro. Um, and I see why Pacific College use the Pantheons. They're really solid. They're high quality, and they're going to last. And they have to get put through quite a bit when you think about the clinic, and how many people go through, how many students and interns are actually using those devices. Um, but I will always get the 12, the Pens 12, because of the other options of mixed mode and more leads. So I'm a big fan of that. I'll put a link in the Pantheon. I'll put a link in the copy for this episode, so you can check them out if you're interested. And again, I get nothing. I'm just giving my review, my opinion, because I'm a fan, and I mentioned it. I mentioned it before that I got it, and I was excited about it coming in the mail, and so I thought I should follow up and tell people what I thought. So that's it. Have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.